Don with your hosts, Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci, and remember to subscribe to us on all of the major platforms, as well as subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. Thank you to Nicole Thompson for the wonderful introduction as always, and to our guy, thank you, Mike Regina, for the JT and the Don pump up intro music. Let me welcome in everyone's favorite. I'm going to get right to it because I know he's got a lot to say. I'm not even going to ask how he's doing because I already know after last night's Game 7 Stanley Cup game. So JT, welcome in everyone's favorite, JT Jimmy Thompson.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just happy to be, coming in, doing the show, doing what we love to do. It's a great day. It's a great week, man. You feeling okay? You good? You all right? You look a little.
What I want to know is this is the 170th episode of JT.
Yeah, to go back and count so he can make this point that's relevant. Go ahead.
This is number 170. Congrats to us, by the way. And thank you to all the fans and listeners for continuing to listen to us. But this is the first time on this show, whether it's been live on video on YouTube or, straight to podcast format, that you have worn a Florida Panthers, any sort of merchandise, any sort of gear.
Well, first of all, just because I don't wear it on the show don't mean I ain't got it. And I keep telling you this for years. I got Panther stuff. And I've worn this. I got pictures with this that are recent. So, hey, I don't know what to tell you. Look, my boys won. I'm happy. You a hater. Get over it. Bro, we got one. Y'all got, what, 5? You can't be happy for us? Come on.
No, I don't want to ever see you win. I've made this clear. Fantasy, whether it is your Florida Panthers.
You got to get used to it because, that's why I wanted the Panthers to win so bad, because obviously since 96, I've been waiting for this moment. And now all my Miami teams got a ring. So, look, it's complete. Not many cities can say all their sports teams have a ring across the board.
However, I will say, though, you've got, even if you include Canes football, let's include Canes football because it's a big deal. So you've got the Marlins.
My teams.
Yeah, the Marlins, the Heat, the Canes, the Panthers, which you say your team. We haven't talked about the Panthers all year, but okay, it's your team, whatever. And then
because you know what? Anytime we do want to talk hockey, first of all, you act like we haven't had NHL preview shows. You act like we haven't had NHL topics and NHL playoff previews. We almost had an NHL preview show this year, but that fell through because our expert wasn't available. So don't act like we don't like hockey. It's just sometimes it doesn't make it into the show. But best believe today it's making it into the show. I don't care how mad about it you are.
But you've never talked.
You ready to start the show? Cool, let's go.
Anyway, hold on. You have never seen, though, a Miami Dolphins Super Bowl. So, yes, all of your teams.
I know it exists. The best, right. The best championship of all time because it's unblemished.
No, it's not.
Yes,
not
it is.
By far. No,
hey, you would gladly trade one of your 1950s Steelers trophy for a perfect season.
No way. We got 6 of them. Not trading any of them in.
Been around since the 40s.
What's that matter? All right, let's get the show started, but let's go with basketball. The Celtics, we haven't had a chance to talk about it. They won the NBA Finals in 5.
You got some gripes about this.
5 games, and to be honest, JT, I don't even think it was that close. I mean, it was what they call a gentleman's sweep, but
there was nothing gentlemanly about that.
It didn't even feel that way. So, first question, it's a combo question here. What went wrong for Dallas, and who deserves more blame, Luka or Kyrie?
All right, I'm going to keep this real simple. What went wrong was Boston just was a better team. They had more talent, more depth, and Dallas just really had two guys that could really do it for them. And it's hard to win when it's basically like 7 versus 2. Like, that's not fair. So that's basically what went wrong. They just couldn't get it done against a more talented, deeper, better defensive Boston Celtics team. So that's what went wrong. Now, who's more to blame, Luka or Kyrie? I'm sorry, it's your boy. It's Luka. Like, you want to jettison this guy into next level superstar. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't have a good case, and we've talked about it on this show before, but these are the moments you gotta show up. Like, bad defense. He fouled out real early. Was it game 3 where they really needed him to turn it around? And I mean, he was basically a parking cone the entire series, and it just felt like the argument against him has always been, he puts up these great stats, but sometimes they feel empty. I don't think the stats ever have felt emptier than in this playoff series against the Celtics. Like, it's like it didn't matter, and then it took him a long time to get going in some games, and it just felt like he was just basically irrelevant. And they were just like, look, we'll just let you do your thing. Maybe you'll heat up early, maybe you'll heat up late, but we don't care. We're just not going to let anybody else do anything. So Luka's the guy on that team. He's supposed to be the next level superstar. He didn't get it done. I'm going to blame him, because if the Boston Celtics did the exact same thing, we'd be blaming the guys on that team that people call stars and Brown and Tatum. So it's Luka.
So the first question, what went wrong for Dallas? More so, what didn't go wrong? Like, everything went wrong, right? But I think the two biggest things were the inconsistent scoring efforts from everybody, whether you're saying it's the superstars, whether it's the potential third person that's a scorer, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. He was a possible 6th man consideration for the award. Like, the lack of bench help in that inconsistent scoring is what did them in, along with the defensive struggles. I mean, Boston created wide open attempts on 22.5% of shots while converting those shots at a rate of 42.6%. The defense was getting blown by one-on-one. It doesn't matter if it was Luka, if it was somebody else. One-on-one, they could not stay in front of their guy. And those two reasons is really what contributed to it. And as far as more blame, listen, why do we always have to feel like we have to blame someone, one person?
Oh, hell no. No. What we're not going to do is, because you know what's so funny? I'm glad we started off with this question first. Because I'm pretty sure at some point in the show, you're going to throw blame on somebody that you agree should take some blame. Nah, take this shit on the chin. Your boy Luka, who you've hyped up, I'm not, rightfully so, he's a superstar. But it's like, he got to be the one to blame. Like, we're not talking about Gaffer. We're not talking about P.J. Washington. He's a bigger star than Kyrie Irving. Like, it's got to be Luka.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. This is not a team loss. This is a Luka loss.
Hold on. No. See, that's where I disagree.
Yeah. It's true. No, hold your boy accountable. Like nobody's gonna take you seriously if you don't do this.
Listen, I'll hold him accountable where he should complain less to the refs in those situations, and he needs to hustle. He needs to hustle back on defense. But JT, this is the way it is in the NBA. The better team's always going to win. 5 games, you get eliminated in 5. There's nothing Luka Doncic could do. He averaged 30 points, and you can say they were empty, but you know what's even more empty? Kyrie's 19 a game. He shot 26% from beyond the arc. I mean, I'm not putting it on Kyrie either, to be fair. It's a team effort because Boston was just clearly the better team. I don't care if you take Luka off this Dallas team and put Michael Jordan in his prime, they might win an extra game, but they're not doing anything else. They still losing the series. So that's facts. You might want to blame Luka, and listen, I'm not going to go against.
Are you going outside right now? So who are you blaming? Is it Luka?
I'm blaming the team. Boston was a better team. Sometimes we can give the other team credit. It's okay to give the other team credit.
It's okay to give the other team credit when it takes the blame off your boy. I get it.
Has nothing to do with that. All right. So the Celtics, let's talk about the team that won it. All right. The team that showed up. It was the better team. All right. So whose team is it now? Because Jaylen Brown won the NBA Finals MVP award. Whose team is it now, though? Is it his or is it Jason Tatum's?
This is a good question. I'm going to take a different approach to this. I'm going to say it's neither. it's Brad Stevens' team now. And he's proved, and we've talked about this before,
You're stealing my info. You're stealing my info.
No, it's true. Because I don't know. I've defended Brad Stevens on multiple shows, not just ours. But it's true. It's his team. He's put together all these different combinations, and no matter what he does, they always work. Now, they might not win a championship, but the results speak for themselves. They're either going to the finals or they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's him. And he made it work once again. And if you think about it, it's even more his team now, because when is the last time that we have seen a non-player where people are talking about like, hey, he's an important part of this team? Like
Bob
the last
Myers,
two I can remember really like that are Greg Popovich and like Phil Jackson. Like
I disagree. No,
I'm talking about an NBA. Like he's really getting to that point.
Bob Myers of Golden State.
Now, Bob Myers does have the results. Like, don't get it twisted. But when you ask the average person, like, who's responsible for it, it's Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Okay,
like,
so JT, hold that.
No, but that's my answer. It's Brad Stevens' team now. Like, I don't think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have done enough to where we're like, oh yeah, like everything the Celtics have done and the success is all because of them. Like Brad Stevens put this shit together.
Hold on, no. Hold on.
He put it together despite their flaws and how they have failed. Like, listen, are we forgetting how people were viewing Jaylen Brown just 1 year ago at the same time?
Listen, Brad Stevens has done a great job. I'm not taking anything away from him.
But you want to
say, hold on, but you want to say it's his team. If you really want to go that route, this is Danny Ainge's team. He made that trade with Brooklyn. He fleeced Brooklyn like you fleece all of our fantasy league owners.
Says the guy that can't make a trade with anybody else other than me to save his life. You want to talk about fleecing?
Yeah, that's
all you do is offer fleece trades.
So Danny Ainge is the one that built this team, the foundation. So if you want to give anyone credit, you got to split it between.
I didn't say Danny Ainge didn't do anything. I'm just saying, whose team is it right now? I'm going with Brad Stevens.
Well, I disagree because Danny Ainge would have to be part of that, and he's no longer there. So at the end of the day, listen, they're a great duo, meaning Tatum and Brown. Like, there's no doubt at this point, right? And it's great to see, even as a non-Celtics fan, it's great to see how they work together as teammates. And, like, they're in it together, right? Like, they're in it together. They're happy for each other's success. But the answer to the question is it's still Tatum's team. There's a couple reasons. Yes, Brown had a great playoff, great finals, but let's not act like Tatum did nothing in this finals. He had 2 games over 30 points. I'm not sure if Brown had even 1 game of over 30. Tatum still averaged over 22 points, 8 boards, 7 assists. Brown had 21 points, 5 and 5, 5.5 and 5. Like, where is Jaylen Brown that much better that it's all of a sudden his team? And this is what I'll end it on. Why is it still Tatum? Just the way everyone and you want to blame Luka and not Kyrie because it's Luka's team. If the Celtics had lost and Tatum had scored 30 points a game, it still would have fallen on Tatum. He would have taken the heat more than Brown. That's why it's still Tatum.
I ain't going to fight you on that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because people think Tatum is better. That's why.
I mean, I think right now he still is better. All right. So speaking of the Celtics, is this the new Celtics? Is the new Celtics dynasty here? Are we seeing it?
Did we say that that KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen team, when they won that one ring that people would never shut up about? Did we say that was a dynasty after that?
I don't know. We didn't have a show. We didn't have a show. And
nobody called that a dynasty. It was like, thank God they got one. Now we got to hear them talk forever.
Hold on. To be fair, they were much older than this core.
Yeah, but no, it's not a dynasty. I think this just gets you to the door. You want to be in VIP, you got to ball out more. And you always said it's like a dynasty. You got to win. What's your thing? Like 3, like a 5-year period. Like they got to do more. I'm sorry. Like 1, we're shutting up for a summer. They need to do more before we start throwing the dynasty word around. So no, it's not a dynasty yet.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go that far yet to say, oh, it's a dynasty. Listen, it's tough nowadays to have a true dynasty. JT, even with the Warriors, when you think about it, all right, with the Warriors, they needed to bring in KD to continue that dynasty. They had only had won 73 games, I believe, and then lose to LeBron, Kyrie, and K-Love.
Right? Fashion.
And like that was going to be the end of their dynasty. I'm sorry. They may have won another one, maybe two, but it would have been over a long stretch.
Oh, yeah. KD definitely extended it by like 4 years.
Right. I mean, they won back-to-back as soon as he came in. So listen, I don't think the Celtics have enough cap, nor will they be able to bring in a guy like a KD at some point. And with any dynasty, guys get old. And it's tough with the cap. Listen, Drew Holiday, I told you he was going to be the X factor, and he was. You had a good second place vote with Derek White. He was very good too and very important. Those are key pieces. Derek White, I believe, is going to be a restricted free agent. Drew Holiday still under contract. But let me tell you something. We've seen it in the NBA. How fast can a Drew Holiday go
all of a sudden want a new deal, and somebody got to pay him or you got to trade him.
Or he loses a step somewhere. Yeah. I mean, Kyrie looked old in this finals.
He did.
He looked great the rest of the playoffs. Like, things happen fast.
But also, to add on to what you were saying, look at all those other pieces. Like Al Horford ain't going to be there forever.
Right.
Porzingis definitely can't hold up. And guys that you're counting on, like Peyton Pritchard or Sam Hauser, like they're eventually going to get paid by somebody to play more minutes on another team. So it's
and
perfect
they don't always take. And JT, they don't always take the next step.
Yeah,
right?
They don't.
Like we've seen that James Wiseman with Golden State, he never took that next step.
Yeah,
like that stuff happens.
And I will add something on to the KD point. I think the KD situation with Golden State was so unique because not only do you have to worry about the financials and cap and stuff like that, but also you have to have, how often does a guy of that caliber and talent of KD available in the league that wants to acquiesce and not be the main guy on a franchise? Like, that is so rare. Like, you got to have all those stars aligned. The talent, he's got to want to not be in that number one alpha role, and he's got to be willing to not make the max amount of money he could on the open market. Like, that situation don't come around that often. Like, you're not going to see Wemby be like, you know what, hey, like, sorry, I want to win a ring. Like, let me go be the number 3 option in Boston and not get paid what I should be. Like, guys aren't doing that. So that thing with the Warriors, you're right, it did extend their dynasty, but it was also such a rare scenario.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That never happens.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see a KD type going to Boston, just like you said. And then the last thing real quick, I won't get into details with it, but the West is going to be strong, JT, for years, and they're young. So, yes, maybe Boston has an easier road out of the East, but this, in my opinion, is going to be the weakest Western Conference team we see in the next 4 to 5 years. And that's not a slight against Dallas. It's just they weren't ready for the they weren't ready for the big stage. Whereas if you got Minnesota, you got to deal with Ant-Man along with the Twin Towers underneath. You got to deal with OK City in the plethora of guys that can play. You still got Denver.
Let's be real.
You still got Denver and Jokic.
Those two teams you named, it's funny because I feel like Dallas, for some reason, was bad matchups for them, but those two teams play defense. So they probably would have been a better matchup for the Celtics than the Mavericks were. So styles makes fights. You just don't know how it's going to work out until you actually get on the court.
Exactly. All right, so last question here, because we're talking about Tatum and Brown. Now that they've won their title, we're talking about duos. Which duo in all of sports do you think is most likely to win a title next? Maybe you have your own. I'll throw a couple out here. You got like Dak and CeeDee Lamb, Kawhi and Harden, Aaron Judge and Stanton. My guys in Pittsburgh now.
They're your guys now. You weren't even talking about Skeens until I was telling you how much he was balling in the minor leagues.
Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, or Kyrie and Luka, or if you have another duo that you thought of.
Well, my duo won it last night, but
that's not a duo.
I went off of this list because I mean, there's duos everywhere.
That's fine.
I mean, it's got to be Judge and Stan, man. And I feel like Stan shouldn't even be the person that you included. It should have been Judge and Soto. And,
well, I say Judge and Stan because they've been together for so much longer.
But yeah, it's the Yankees because they're on a heater this year. They're doing much better than I thought they would, especially with all the injuries, especially the main one to Garrett Cole before the season started. We thought they were in trouble, but
yeah.
they held down the fort, and now Cole is back. And I mean, Soto's having an MVP year. I mean, we picked him on this show to win an MVP. Shout out to Frank Amarante as well. But I mean, it's got to be them. Like, this is the Yankees' chance to make some noise and win it. So I'm gonna go with that duo.
Yeah, I think realistically that is the duo, Judge and Stanton, even though I think Judge is hurt. I'm not sure of his status at this point, so they're going to need him to come back.
I think he's back. I think he was hurt
already
for a game or two, but he's back
okay.
now.
That still would concern me, though. That
Stanton is hurt, though. I think he just went on the IL.
Okay. So, but realistically, I agree with you. But listen, I'm going to be that homer. I'm going to be that guy.
No way. This is how you can tell you don't watch the Pirates play.
Skeens and Jared Jones.
You don't watch the Pirates play.
What do you mean? They're 37-41.
I know we talked about this last night, but you ain't watching the Pirates play. Skeens shows up, and all of a sudden, I convince you. Now you have optimism.
They're 3.5 games out of last playoff spot. What are you talking about? Listen, if your Florida Panthers can win a cup, the Pittsburgh Pirates can win a World Series, okay?
Not the way you talked about the Pirates your entire time I've known you.
Enough of this.
They the bad news bears, according to you.
Let's go talk about your Florida Panthers. Let's get this over with. I've been dreading this all day.
Sports. I mean,
I've been dreading this all day.
So, at the risk of not, pissing off the co-host, I'm going to read what you wrote because I know you put so much time into these introductory paragraphs. So I'm going to read it. Is that okay if I do that?
That's what the script is for. You
all right.
Script.
I mean, I go off script, but I know how much you like scripted play. So here we go. So the Florida Panthers avoided being on the wrong side of history in the Stanley Cup Finals with a 2-1 win over the Edmonton Oilers at Game 7. Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe Trophy, awarded to the most valuable player of his team during the NHL playoffs, despite being on the losing team. So, Don, the first question to you is, did the Panthers win this series or did the Oilers lose it? Did I do a good job? Was that perfect? That
wasn't bad. I don't know if ESPN's going to be calling about the around the horn I
just don't want to hear you complain about. I didn't read your precious script. So look, right. I hope I did a good job. Now answer the damn question.
You did. So did the Panthers win the series or did the Oilers lose it? Listen, the Panthers won the series. The defense of the Panthers won it. That is clear. First 3 games, the top 5 point scorers for the Edmonton Oilers, JT, had 0 goals. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Bouchard, and Nugent Hopkins. No goals. First 3 games. That's why they were up 3-0. That's defense. I don't care if you put the puck in the back of the net 7 times. Edmonton can put it back 8. But when your defense is as good as Florida's, that's what won it for you. And listen, defense wins championships, right? Oilers offense struggled because of the great defense and not vice versa. And so it wasn't that the Oilers were just struggling. It was because of the defense. So listen, even though I don't want to give JT's team any credit, I have to give the Panthers credit. It was their defense that won this series.
You know what? I mean, the way you articulated that was amazing. I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. But I'm happy. Obviously, we wanted to be waiting for this for 30 years, but I disagree with you. I think it's close though, because everything you said about the defense was spot on. You're right, and that's ultimately what won us Game 7. Like we came out, we're aggressive on defense, and we're like, look, we got this lead, we ain't giving it up. If we got to sit on the puck, we'll do it. So the defense definitely was a major factor. But I'm gonna go with the Oilers just because they had all these crazy stats that to me, when I'm like, the announcers are rattling this off, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, just a percentage of power plays that they killed, not just in the series, but in the playoffs. Like, we were talking about that offline, like during the series, like, this makes no sense. Like, how does that happen? They gave up, only 4 shorthanded goals while scoring 3 goals shorthanded, which is very rare. And if you noticed in Game 7, we were literally scared to be aggressive on that final power play that we had. It was basically like, look, we'll wait. Well,
the whole third period.
Yeah, we were basically like, we'll wait till the guy gets back out here because we're not setting up Bobrovsky for failure. And that brings me to my next point. They had 5 straight goals on breakaways, so like they were definitely had an advantage against Bobrovsky in that specific area. And then of course everyone knows McDavid had the back-to-back 4-goal games. And if you would have told me, or I told you,
you mean 4-point games?
Yeah, 4-point games. Yeah. If you would have told me all those things were going to happen, he was going to have those huge games back to back. You're going to have all these power plays that were killed. They were scoring shorthanded goals. If I would have told you before this series that would happen, you would have said that this Oilers team would have got the W, won the series, and you would have went to Vegas and put your money down. But it was the complete opposite. We went up 3-0. We got lucky Game 1, in my opinion. And I feel like they lost it. And you could tell they lost it because the Oilers are going to regret this outcome of this series for decades, man. They might not recover from this in my mind. Like, they played so well, and it's like they ran out of gas at the wrong time, and they played so well at one time, and it just made no sense to me. So I think they definitely lost the series.
I disagree. I mean, that takes away from what the Panthers did.
No, it doesn't. I said it was
that has been their
close.
motto all year. That's why they went and got a Matthew Tkachuk. They went from that more open speed style to let's grind it out, and that's what they did, man. Like, I don't know how you can. Yes, there's got to be blame on the Oilers, but they didn't just lose it. It wasn't like it was theirs to have. The Panthers punched them in the mouth early and often, and then won the final round.
I said this, and you guys were calling me overreacting. I said when we lost Game 4, I was like, we're going to lose this series because you just can't let this type of team hang around, especially with what they've been doing, because eventually all these crazy stats are going to turn into wins, and it was an avalanche.
You didn't lose it, so that's why it's the Panthers.
Oh, all right. So let's go to your favorite question of any sport. Who deserves the blame for the loss?
Why is there always one person
because as long as
it's
not a guy that you like, you love this question. So don't front. Go ahead. You got no dog in this fight, so go ahead and trash the guy.
Why is there always one person we got to blame?
Who's to blame for the loss?
Why can't we just say it's a team? All right, listen, man, it's got to be Leon Draisaitl. It's Draisaitl here. 3 assists in 7 games, no goals in the last 9. Listen, McDavid, yes, game 6 and 7, he got to show up a little better, especially in game 7. But McDavid needed his Robin. Like, even Malkin was the Robin to Sidney Crosby. But Draisaitl, he didn't show up at all. I mean, in game 7, if you get 1 goal in 9 games, if that's the game you get it, it's now a tie game. Like, to me, like you said, you didn't even know he was playing. He was causing no problems for that Florida defense. And it's unexcusable, especially because he's one of the higher paid players, but he's entering free agency after this upcoming year. Like, people are going to remember this unless he comes out, scores 60 goals, and they win the cup, and he's the Conn Smythe winner. Like, people will remember this performance, not only in Edmonton, but the general managers come next year, free agency.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's Draisaitl. And for everything we talked about offline last night, like, we forgot he was in the series at one point, and I felt so bad because he had played so poorly that they were essentially hiding him in the lineup. And last night they're like, "Look, man, we ain't got nobody else that can do what you can do. You and McDavid got to go out there and basically play the whole rest of this game. Like, we need you to do something.
Yeah, at one point,
just be out there, and maybe the threat of they think you'll find it and get hot. Maybe that'll do something." And it just did it, man. McDavid ran out of steam, and he really, like you said, he needed that Robin. So I definitely want to put the blame on him for the loss.
At one point, they put him on the line with McDavid.
Yeah, they had to.
And that made McDavid worse. Like, it was just it was a bad series for him, man. It was a bad 9 games for Draisaitl. Hopefully he recovers from it.
So this next question, out of respect for you and out of respect for the show, I just want to say, like, I feel like these next 2 topics are going to make Don really upset. So if he gets emotional, we apologize.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
No. Listen. Don't preface it. Just prove it. Prove it that you're going to be fine.
You annoyed me all day with all the comments of the champs and blah blah blah.
You text me,
and then, so I was like, you know what? I got to feel good about myself. I got a haircut, went for a run. I feel good. You're not going to upset me in this show. No,
because he got his little haircut that make him tough now. All right, let's get into these 2 questions because I know these mean a lot to you. First, we already alluded to it. McDavid, Conn Smythe Trophy. Oilers did not win. Did he deserve it?
So had we had the show last night?
My answer would have been you gave me last night, and you better not change your mind. Give me this shit you told me last night.
If we had the show last night,
I want the show last night answer. Give me the answer.
No. Listen, you don't earn, or you earn the Conn Smythe. No one's just going to give it to you. No one just deserves it. You got to earn it. And listen, looking back, 2 reasons why he won it and he earned it. First, the Panthers. They're the true essence of a team where no one stood out. Let's be honest. Yes, Barkov, really good player, but Bobrovsky had his moments. but he also struggled between games 4 to 6.
He almost cost us the damn
Yeah.
championship.
So, like, to me, there was no one that stood out enough. In JT, I think the top 3 odds makers to win the Conn Smythe, I don't think any of them were the Florida Panthers. They actually, number 3 was, I think, one of the players from the Carolina Hurricanes. And they've been out a while. So part of it was no one stood out for the Panthers. And then when you really look at start to finish the whole playoffs, because that's what it is based on, right? We talked about it. It's awarded the most valuable player of his team during the playoffs, not the finals. It's not the NBA Finals trophy. So start to finish, he, I believe, was 4th all-time in points in NHL playoff history in a single playoff, only behind Gretzky, who has 2 of the top 3, and Lemieux, who's number 2. JT, when we're talking Gretzky, Lemieux, and then you're the 3rd guy, I can't argue. I can't argue against that
because you
anymore.
got it now you want to backtrack. I thought you were going to give that same energy you had on the phone last night because you were so upset.
Listen, I had time.
How can he win? They can't give it to a loser. He would never make it in Pittsburgh.
I never said he's a loser. I never said any of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what you
quit
said.
Telling lies.
Nah, because you know that's the right answer. And I told you this last night. Yes, he deserves it. Like, he was by far the best player in the playoffs for all the reasons that you named. He was the best player in this series. He just didn't have enough help around him. Like, I mean, just look at what he did. Like you already said, we talked about the points scored, all the big clutch moments, but he pushed a game 7 down 3-0. And the way they played, he was 1 goal away last night. Let's be honest. He was 1 goal away from doing something that hadn't been done since the 40s. Like, everything about what he did in the playoffs and in this series was Michael Jordan-esque, except for winning the ring. So, yeah, I think he was the person to win it. Now, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to shut up because I got nothing to do with this next question.
You wrote it.
I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to listen to him complain for the next, 20 minutes about this. Who will have a better long-term legacy, McDavid or your guy, Sid the Kid Crosby?
JT, you wrote this question.
No, I didn't write it.
Don't even act.
I saw it online.
This is a social media thing. That's why I don't listen to social media and online stuff.
No, you don't listen to social media online because you're old and you don't know how to access it. You don't feel comfortable.
I'm a young guy. Listen, who's going to have the better long-term legacy between these two? It's Sidney Crosby, and by far, by a wide margin. Listen, he made his first Stanley Cup Finals appearance at the age of 20, won his first cup at the age of 21. Plus, then he went back-to-back years to make it 3 total in 2016, 2017. So 7 years apart between his first cup. Listen, he's played in a more physical division over the years, meaning Sidney Crosby, with Washington, Philly, the Rangers, the Islanders, the New Jersey Devils. Listen, McDavid, no points. Games 6 and 7 when they needed him the most. Yes, Draisaitl, big part of that could have helped. But at the end of the day, you got to come up big somehow. People will remember this like they remember LeBron James's Game 4 against the Dallas Mavericks in the 2011 NBA Finals. He was 3 for 11, only 8 points. He takes all the heat for that loss and for that series loss in the NBA Finals in 2011. Same thing for McDavid. I'm sorry. You don't get any goals or points Game 6, you won. We'll give you a break. Game 7, JT, you want to be the best player in the world. You want to be up there with Lemieux, Gretzky. You want to be known as better than Sidney Crosby. You got to give me something. Give me a goal. Give me 2 assists. Get this game to overtime. Make a play. Nothing. And this is the difference. I told you, Sidney Crosby, 21, won his first cup. We're looking at McDavid at 27 going on to 28. He's got no cups. He didn't win yesterday. He didn't win last night. That's huge. And listen, Edmonton has one of the oldest teams in the league right now, so that doesn't bode well for him. Then when you look at it, he only has 2 more years on his deal in Edmonton. Draisaitl only has 1 more year, and they think they might have to move Draisaitl to get any sort of value right now. If not, he can leave as an unrestricted free agent next summer. So is this team going to repeat? I don't know. There's some up-and-coming teams out of the West, and they had to go through them, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen every year. So does he not go back to the – you just said it yourself. you're worried about this team. They may not have that long of a runway, like we say with the Celtics, at least.
Well, people forget. I mean, they started off in shambles. Like, they fired the coach. And then they just had these 3 crazy runs throughout the year. I think at one point they won like 15 or 16 straight. So it was like 16, one of those seasons of destiny for the Oilers. So, I mean, I'll agree with you on that. But I knew you were going to go in on McDavid because it's Crosby and it's the Penguins. But
listen,
you're right. You're right.
He's a great player, but this is what I don't like.
He's great. I was answering. I'll let you finish. He's great, but let's not forget the expectations that Crosby had on him coming into the league. Like, you talked about him playing all those years in that tough physical division, but like, think about all those teams that were gunning for him every game, like literally trying to hurt him.
I mean, Washington did. Let's be fair.
And he played against, to be one of my favorite players of all time, and he's still out there playing. I don't know how he's doing it, but Ovechkin, like prime Ovechkin playing against him, like that was like the matchup to see. Like, Ovechkin's an all-time great. So I agree with you. He got more championships, more Smythes. I mean, you said he won the 3 rings, right? They won them all on the road, as you like to say, right? So 3 championships on the road, back-to-back on the road. I mean, I don't think it's close. McDavid's an amazing player, but he's more Luka than LeBron James, if we're being honest.
And JT, Game 7, 2009 at Detroit, and they had just lost in 6 the year before to Detroit. It's tough to get back there, and Crosby and Malkin were able to do that. We'll see if Draisaitl and McDavid can do. McDavid's a great player. I think he'll still be an all-time great, but in terms of legacy, I'm going Crosby. Crosby gets disrespected. You know, I'll finish on this point.
Ain't nobody disrespecting
No.
Crosby.
There are. I'll finish on this point. I love how everyone says it's clearly MJ over LeBron, and a lot of it's the rings. But when we talk about Crosby Ovechkin, a lot of people say and will take Ovechkin over Crosby because Crosby's a crybaby. Ovechkin's this tough physical guy. And it's like, oh, so we want to forget about all the times that Crosby whooped them in the playoffs to win a title. He's got 3 to Ovechkin's 1. And we want to say Ovechkin's better. That's what annoys me. We always want to change the standards when it fits the guy that people like.
You're right. Yeah, I told you guys he was going to complain about blame at some point. It just depends on who we're blaming. All right.
Well, let's go WNBA. The U.S. women's basketball team announced the Olympic roster for the 2024 Olympics this summer in Paris. It's right around the corner. And Caitlin Clark was not on the roster. That was the big story from the announcement. So, JT, should Caitlin Clark have been added or have been on this Olympic roster?
No, for 2 reasons. The first reason I'll get out of the way right away, because the argument with her is she should get precedent over everything because of viewership. The Olympics don't care about that. Like, the people that are watching basketball in the Olympics, it's not just America. And the same people who are going to watch the basketball sessions of Olympics are going to be the same ones that are going to watch it this year, whether she's on the team or not. So I don't think that's really relevant when it comes to the Olympics. But the main reason is no, because there's a process, there are tryouts, and she wasn't a part of it. Is that her fault? No, she was in college trying to lead Iowa to a national championship. And to be honest, if she's so much the future of the league and the face and we need her, like, why are we going to run her out there for more basketball? Like, I don't understand. She needs rest. Like, she hasn't sat down in, I felt like, 2 years. Like, you got to give her an off season. But for that reason, they have a process. Like, she just didn't qualify for it. And also, let's be real. She's not ready. She's not ready for international play. She doesn't have the experience. It's a different, more physical game. The guards are the most loaded part of this roster, and they all are ballers, and they all have hella experience in international play, especially in the Olympics. Like, it's stacked with elite players. And let's not act like she wasn't the only player of note to be left off. Like, the second leading scorer in the league got left off too, averaging 24 points a game, and she's a guard. So I just don't get all the outrage other than they just want to see her at all times. And let's keep it real. Clark is averaging what, like 16 points a game? She's all the way down, I think.
About 17.
17, yeah. I think she's all the way down at like 14th in the league. But she's also tied with Diana Taurasi, who people swear is old and can't get it done. So Clark's time will come. The Olympics, they know they have this very talented, very experienced roster. And I think people just want to give Caitlin Clark a fast pass to the front line, but she's just not ready. Her time will come, but she just was not ready for this moment, and she shouldn't be on this team.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but a very good one. You did a good job on this question. Listen,
only because you want to talk about it. When you want to talk about it, it's good. When it's not, it's shit. I get it.
No, it's a good question. Listen, I'm going to give you my lawyer answer. So it depends on what you want out of this team. If you want to award the players who have earned a spot, that's the key word of this episode, earned, not deserved, earned a spot, then no, she should not have been added. Because don't forget that USA Basketball left off Candace Parker in 2016, all right, in the prime of her career, and they've left off in 2021 former WNBA MVP Nneka Nwumike. All right, so it's not the first time nor the last time a player will be left off that maybe or maybe not should not have been on it. All right. So that's the one thing. If you're going to go based on credentials and who's earned it, I don't know if she's quite there. You're right. Plus, I think the rest could do her good. Now, if you're looking at it as the WNBA and USA Basketball, forget the Olympics, because you're right. Listen, the viewership's going to be there. That's not going to change or spike.
It's not going to move the needle. They're going to be watching track, gymnastics. That's what people are going to be watching.
Right. But if you want to grow the sport globally, if you're the WNBA and USA Basketball, if you want to grow it, the sport globally and continue to ride this wave, because let's admit it, this wave is going. Like, this is a high wave. This is as good as it's been for the WNBA. And again, there's been a lot of great players. I'm just saying this wave, this momentum is as good as it's been for them. So then maybe USA Basketball should have put her on the roster, because listen, we're going to win regardless. I know they're saying the international competition is getting better, and I respect that, but it's not quite at the level as we saw in 2000, 2004, where all of a sudden we said, wow, this international men's basketball, they've closed the gap. I still don't believe it's that close in women's basketball. So with that said, I think we're going to win regardless. It may not be as easy as before, but we're going to win regardless.
But we should be favorites.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. We should be favorites. So why not ride this wave of publicity by having the player people are selling out NBA arenas to see? Washington had her in here, I think 2 weeks ago. They sold out Capital One, 20,000 people. JT, that is not a normal occurrence, right? So obviously people are going to see her, and they're going in waves. And again, like, if you want to ride this wave and grow the sport, this would have been a good time to put her in for everyone around the world to see her, and maybe that even sparks more interest. Now, with that said, hold on. I'll get to my final answer. No, let me get to my final answer. At the end of the day, I have no issue with leaving her off. I really don't. That's why I gave you my lawyer answer. I gave you both sides. I have no issue with leaving her off personally. Now, maybe my viewpoint would be different if I'm an executive in the WNBA offices, because I do feel that USA women's basketball could directly impact the ratings, or more so the fan base of the WNBA.
That's a good answer. You brought up something that I want to talk about on the spot. I know this is not what we plan to discuss, but you kept saying wave, and it just got me thinking. I think a lot of what's going on with Caitlin Clark, like, the perfect word for it is wave. Like, the college basketball aspect, like, it's gotten so much popularity, and there was no break, and then now she's catapulted into the WNBA, and like the wave of people watching her from college has transitioned to the WNBA, which is great for the sport. Do you think that, is it more of a wave, or is this level of, I guess, viewership and all the new people watching, is it sustainable? Because what I'm wondering is, and I legit don't know the answer to this. Is it just the wave because people haven't taken a break from watching her transition from college to WNBA, or is this really going to last? Because what I want to know is, she's not going to play in the Olympics, and the WNBA season ends next summer. Are the same amount of people going to be tuning in to watch her after an entire year of not seeing her play, not hearing her name every day in the headlines and in the news and the media? Do you think that those same people that are saying, like, hey, we only watch because of her, are they going to be back next year watching her in the WNBA? Or is it just because we just haven't stopped watching her for this period of time?
That's a good question. And what I will answer is I don't know the answer to it because I think it depends on the WNBA. Again,
what does your gut tell you?
If I mean, my gut would say yes, and it's not just based on her, it's based on all of the other teams as well as other potential stars like you've mentioned Paige Beckers when she comes out. You've already got Sabrina Ionescu, you've got Angel Reese, you've got Cardoso. So you've got these players that my answer to that, my gut says yes, because I'm going to trust that the WNBA is going to market these star players correctly, meaning they've already have the perfect season in terms of when they play. There's not much going on. After last night, we had the NHL finals, we had the college men's baseball championship, and next summer there will not be Copa America. There will not be Euro soccer. So at this point, June 25th, I'm guessing the NBA finals will be over as well, even if it goes to a game 7 a year from now. Guess what's left? Baseball, the NBA draft, in the WNBA, because football doesn't start for over a month. So if they market correctly, I believe the wave can help the sustainability.
Yes. And I want to believe that, but my gut tells me no, specifically for what you said. You're like, you trust that WNBA will market them correctly. And I feel like they've shown me that they won't. Like, because they've had stars that are relatable, stars that are talented, stars that we've loved watching them in college, and for some reason they always drop the ball. And I guess if I had to go to Vegas today and blind bet that next summer, with a full year of people not watching her play off season, is she still are there still going to be sold out WNBA games in like NBA type arenas? Like, I'm going to say no, because I think out of sight, out of mind has to play into it. And I want to be wrong, because I want the sport to grow. I want people to watch it. Like, I don't want it to just be me and you watching it and watching women's college basketball. Like, I want more people to watch these women play because they're talented and deserve the views. But I'm wondering if that wave will die in the offseason and we won't be getting these sellout crowds and we won't be getting as much coverage. Like, that's what worries me. And I'm wondering, like, is this real? Like, I want it to be real, but I'm wondering, is it real?
Well, this is the thing. I think it's going to depend on how the season ends for her, because you keep saying she better perform. She better perform. If she does, listen, she may not be playing at the level she did at Iowa, which that was beyond.
That was never going to happen.
That was never going to happen, especially this early on, if ever. But she's not playing bad, JT. She's doing pretty good. They've started to win some games. They did blow the game last Sunday at Chicago, but they've gotten better. They've gotten better. Her in Boston, like, that team has gotten better. And so that's why I'm going to say, with the caveat that if they play well down the stretch, I don't know if they can make the playoffs, but if she starts that spark again at the end of the season where there's still that buzz, they're going back to the Capital One Arena again, I think in mid-September against the Mystics. So they're looking to sell that out again. So I think that's going to be the indication that how hot is it when we're 3 months from now that game will be, and it's in the middle of college and NFL season.
Yeah,
if they sell out,
it makes sense. It makes sense though, because it's all the rage right now. But I want to know, like, the indicators for me will be, all right, what season ticket sales going to look like next year? Like, are they going to have to pre-plan to have some games in those bigger arenas? Because if they don't, then that tells me that the response in the offseason wasn't as big as the season. Because the momentum should take you into the next season. Like, that's how you can tell teams and sports are gaining popularity. People buy pre-sold tickets, and you might need a bigger venue. Like, if those things are happening in the offseason, then I'm like, okay, like, we might have that wave continue into the next WNBA season.
It's similar to the Messi thing. What's Inter Miami going to do once he leaves? Are they going to be able to capitalize on the growth?
I mean, probably not, because it's Messi though, and MLS is MLS has never been this popular.
But I mean, that's the wave you got to ride to sustainability. Listen, in the WNBA too, the other thing the WNBA kind of needs is they need a good March Madness out of the women's NCAA tournament again, just like this past year. Even though Angel won't be there and Caitlin won't be there,
I mean, they still got studs, though.
Exactly. If Juju Watkins can get to a Final Four against the Paige Beckers, like that momentum, all of a sudden people are like, oh, what's next? We want more women's basketball. The next thing is the WNBA season starts.
All
right. So did Angel Reese's performance, I mentioned it earlier in terms of the Chicago Sky coming back down, I believe 15 in the fourth quarter against the Indiana Fever. So did her performance change your opinion about her long-term upside?
Yeah, it did, because we talked about this on this show a couple times. She's the player coming from college that we were concerned about her game translating to the WNBA. And I think she's been great. And this performance showed me that she can will a team to a win by staying within her game. Like, she can do all the things, like the simple things, the fundamental things that are within her game: rebounding, scoring, like blocking shots, like hitting her free throws when she has to. Like, she can do all of that and still will her team to a victory, a big victory. So I agree. I think she's kind of looking like she's going to take like a Asia Wilson light type of trajectory. I mean, the rebounding is already there. I think her and Wilson are tied for the tops of the league at both like 11 per game. So that's already great to be seen that as a rookie. And the thing with her is she has the confidence. We all know that. And she just needs to find the consistency. But she definitely showed that she can hold up her end of the bargain in this her versus Caitlin Clark rivalry. So they got their Bird and Magic thing going on in the WNBA. So I think she's going to be able to hold up her end of the deal on that. But I tell you what, you mentioned Juju Watkins. MJ is coming. And that's the one that's going to turn this league upside down, is when Juju gets to the league. But for now, yeah, I definitely think I'm more confident in Reese's future going forward and her being able to be a star.
Yeah, I think her great start to the season, we both said it a couple episodes ago, that it exceeded our expectations, because we thought the transition, not that she couldn't get there, but we thought the transition initially might be a little rough for her. She's done way better than I thought. I've said that. Like, I admit I was wrong there. Props to her. She's averaging 13-11 with 1.7 steals per game. That Indiana game, she had 25 and 16, led that 15-point comeback.
It was her. She was the reason they won that game.
Yeah, she turned it around for them. I think back on June 12th against the Connecticut Sun, had 20 and 10. Again, that's a heck of a line against a good team. 7 double-doubles in a row is a WNBA record by a rookie. So right there, it shows you she's elevated her game. And so her upside long-term is definitely like perennial all-star, I think, at this point. Can get into a couple Olympics. I'm buying on her long-term upside. Now, before we get to the last segment, I got to throw this question in, a little impromptu, because I thought of it as we discussed Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese in the Olympics. Would you have been okay? So this means maybe 2 players on the current U.S. Olympic roster would have to go. Would you have been okay with, or gotta admit, would you have been excited had they been able to put both Caitlin and Angel Reese on the U.S. women's team?
That's a good question. My gut tells me no, because I just don't see them getting major minutes to where I'm going to be able to see them play enough to be excited that they're there. Like,
that's fair.
Like, if they're sitting on the bench, I could care less. Like, they ain't playing. But like, if you're like, hey, like, all right, they're going to get like 15 minutes a game, like guaranteed. I'm like, oh yeah, like, because I want to see what they can do at the international level. Like, yeah, I would be excited in that scenario. But in reality of what would probably have happened if they were on that team, no, I wouldn't have been excited.
Yeah, and if you go look at the history of Olympic basketball teams since the pros joined, if you look at rookies or the younger players, they get very limited minutes. So that is true. All right, so let's go to Forget About It or Fugazi. We're going to read a statement, and if we agree with it, we think it's a good take, a hot take, we're going to say forget about it. If we disagree with it, we're going to say Fugazi. All right? JT,
right.
You're up first.
All right, let's run through these.
Yes.
Podcaster superstar Jeff Teague is
I thought you were going to say us.
Ain't nobody talking about you. Jeff Teague is a hater for saying that he wasn't a fan of Kobe Bryant's game because it seemed like he was trying too hard. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Listen, this is an easy one. I got a one-liner for you. It's forget about it. That statement by him sums up why Kobe is Kobe and Jeff Teague is Jeff Teague. Quit hating. All right, leave the hating up to the real JT, Jimmy Thompson.
He's right. I'm not saying that he's wrong. Like I feel like Kobe, I don't know if it's because his game didn't come easy or he just had bad habits, like shooting over like 3 or 4 people at a time, like high usage. But I mean, a lot of guys do that. I'm going to say it's forget about it, because this is my issue whenever I'm discussing basketball with people that have played basketball or people that are like really, really like big time fans and very knowledgeable about basketball. I feel like basketball is one of the few sports where it is not enough to be good and have success. You also got to have style points too, because the same people that will say this about Kobe Bryant, oh, his game, I wasn't a fan, like it came too hard. They also be like all over Joe Johnson, like, oh, ISO Joe, his game was so smooth. He was the smoothest, best to ever do it. Yeah, but Joe Johnson didn't win anything. So it's like, why are we giving him props because his game was stylish and it seemed so cool? Like, results get it done. You win, you score. Like, to me, that's a good game. I'm sorry, people got different ways of doing it. So that's why it's forget about it for me.
No, but this is the difference. He had mentioned in particular Melo and KD, like they're smooth, they're this and that. But just because there's a lot of smooth players, right? We see it in baseball. Man, that guy's got a smooth swing. You know what, though?
Those don't mean he's the best.
You know what? I'm taking Tony Gwynn. I don't care if he's trying hard and that's not the cool thing. I'm taking Tony Gwynn.
I'm taking Dwayne Wade over someone that got a smooth game, because I know Dwayne Wade gonna put his head down.
Right, and that's the same thing. So that's why I'm saying
forget about it. We agree.
That's why I'm saying forget about it. I think that's such a off the wall, like ridiculous statement that it's like, come on, man. Unbelievable.
Cool.
All right.
I don't like it that we agreeing, but go ahead.
All right. So Trevor Lawrence, all right, robbed the Jaguars.
Well, I mean, context, he got big contract extension,
yeah.
$250 million.
Yeah, 5-year extension, $275 million, 142 of it guaranteed.
Hey, let me look at my little book here, man. Define robbery. This is forget about it. Of course, like not having better career numbers than Blake Bortles or somebody like a Gardner Minshew at any point during his career, but getting paid like Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that's robbery. Like this man has had every excuse in the book, and we're just all out of people to blame. Like think about it. Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott would have to go to war to get less money if they put up the kind of career that Trevor Lawrence has had so far. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I get it. That's the going rate for quarterbacks, but like, you're not paying him just because he plays the position. He got to have some results too. Like Justin Herbert has put up historic numbers with Brandon Staley, who is a bad coach. Like, I don't want any excuses for Trevor, like the Urban Meyer thing. Like, all guys have bad coaches. Like, you either going to play well or not. So I think he robbed them.
See, Jeff Teague, that's why I told you, let the real JT do the hating, because he does it so well. Look at that. He does it so well. Listen, it's Fugazi. You're paying for the future, bro. You're paying for the future. That's what it is with all these. You think Kansas City's paying Mahomes for what he's done? Heck no. They expect him to continue to win, and they don't want him to go anywhere. All right? So listen, if he produces, then what? Are you still going to say it's a robbery? No, because that's what you're paying for. But you're paying for the future. You don't earn your next contract. It's about what you produce.
So we should get paid for our potential, not what we've done.
Absolutely. That's why I don't understand why ESPN hasn't called yet. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, so let's not act like T-Law isn't good though. I mean, come on, like, or has no upside. Like, plus you said it. This is what the QB market is nowadays. Tua's going to get it, and I know you're not going to be happy about it because you don't think he's a franchise guy. But guess what? That's what the market dictates, and that's what the Dolphins believe his upside is.
But it only does that for quarterbacks, because if
that's the position.
It's true.
It's the most important.
If this were a receiver and he was just the next up to get paid, and he hasn't played within that bracket of whatever that pay structure is going to be for the next guy up, they're going to slot him somewhere less.
Yeah.
So
JT, you know why?
I just hate that quarterbacks are doing this. I'm not following that mantra. Like
you can't hate it. You know why? It is the most important position in all of sports.
No, we make it the most important position.
No, it clearly is. It clearly is.
Whatever. Next, the Jets should just admit they were fleeced by the Eagles and cut bait with Hassan Reddick. So backstory, Hassan Reddick, in the last year of his deal, star pass rusher with the Eagles, was traded to the Jets. He didn't want to go there, but he was traded with the promise that he would show up and they would work on a new deal. But he's not. He's on vacation. So don't sound like he's going to play it down for the Jets. Forget about it or Fugazi.
So, yeah, he didn't show up to the OTAs. Listen, it's Fugazi. They knew what they were doing, meaning the Jets. They knew what they were getting themselves in for. A 29-year-old with one non-guaranteed salary year left of 14.2.
So you mean it's forget about it. They should just admit they were fleecing and cut bait.
No, they were not fleeced. It's their own fault. That's what I'm trying to say. They weren't fleeced. They knew what they were doing.
Okay.
Like, that's where I'm saying Fugazi. Because he's a 29-year-old with a 1 year left on his contract, non-guaranteed salary, 14.25. You think he's going to show up and get injured?
That's worse than a franchise tag.
Have a career, yeah, exactly.
That's like a late round restricted tender.
It's not guaranteed.
Get it.
And on top of that, JT, Daniel Hunter just signed a 2-year, $49 million deal, and they're saying these two guys are comparable. So why would I show up for 14.25 non-guaranteed? Well, they're saying contract-wise, he can get that. So why would I show up for a non-guaranteed, possibly tear something, career-ending, season-ending, not get paid at all and get cut anyway, when I could be getting a 2-year, $49 million deal like Hunter? I mean, the Jets knew this. I don't feel bad. Don't cry for the Jets. It's Fugazi. They were not fleeced.
It's Fugazi because, all right, they both played each other. You guys didn't hold up your end of the bargain because they did this trade with the wink that they would work out a deal. They would either have a deal worked out or it would get done fairly quickly. And we about to be in July, and I ain't heard nothing about any contract being signed for him. So, I mean, yeah, I don't feel bad for them. And he's living his best life. He's over in Japan. He's cosplaying. He's having the time of his life while his teammates are in the sun, dying in OTAs. So, I mean, he doesn't want to be there. It's obvious. If you want him to be there, pay him. So I don't feel bad for the Jets at all.
JT, not all of his teammates, though. Aaron Rodgers missing mandatory camp is a bad sign for the Jets season. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Fugazi, because this is him. He does this everywhere. And to be real, the reason it's Fugazi is because the Jets need him so bad. Whatever he has to do to get himself mentally ready to carry that garbage franchise, they just need to let him do. So just sit back, let him smoke, inject, eat whatever he wants in the offseason, and just sit back and get ready to watch him carry you. So Fugazi.
So I've been on that train too. I've been agreeing with what you said, but this time I'm going to say forget about it because the question is a bad sign. And it's not to say, oh, you should be worried. Bad sign, yes. Forget about it. You missed all of last season, Aaron Rodgers. You've got young receiving core. You need to build that chemistry. You didn't build that at all. You
don't. He only got to build chemistry with one receiver, one good receiver they have, and they already got chemistry.
But this is the other thing. Do they? I don't know if they do. For once, Aaron Rodgers, act like you care in that it's not all about you. For once.
But it is all about him.
That's why it's a bad sign. You would have thought the injury he went through, missing a whole season, he'd be appreciative to be out on the field. And he's not. It's a bad sign, man. This is going to be that New York soap opera all season.
And they about to win 11 to 12 games and make the playoffs.
Nah, too tough of a division to do that.
It ain't that tough this year.
You don't just show up. Nah, it's tough, bro. It's still a tough division.
Final one. Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher, your guy, who you really wasn't watching before I told you. Paul Skeens is the next MLB superstar. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Forget about it. I mean, is he not already? People are watching this guy. I mean, it's forget about it.
You haven't watched the Pirates game in like 2 years.
It's forget about it. Listen, I watch the Pirates a lot. I have the MLB.
You didn't even know Kutch was still on the team.
Whatever. Listen, it's forget about it. The dude, just watch him pitch. Watch him throw, and you'll know why we say forget about it. Definitely the next MLB superstar. There's some other ones out there, but pitching-wise, man, it's him.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's forget about it, but I look at it this way. If every pitcher in baseball were a free agent available right now, he'd be the first selected, which is crazy because he ain't been around that long. He's barely played a month at the major league level, and he would easily be the first guy that would either be picked up by a team. He'd be the first selected in the draft. He'd be the first player to get a long-term contract. And if you ask every GM around the league, there's no GM that would leave him out of the top 5 players that they would choose to build a franchise around. Like, that says a lot about a guy that ain't been in the league that long. Like, he's a special talent, man. Like, he's thrown over 100 miles an hour deep in the game, 7th, 8th inning. I mean, we know it's going to happen eventually. The Tommy Johns is going to be a thing, but we don't care. Like, they got that kind of talent. It don't come around that often. This is a generational arm talent, generational player. Yes, he's going to be the next MLB superstar.
Yeah, you just got to enjoy it, just like Kerry.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Based on the injuries this year, you know it's going to happen because you don't like the type of guy that's going to change his delivery or slow it down.
Like Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor, we're enjoying the 1-2, him and Jarrett Jones.
Speaking of bad signs, before we wrap up, you want to know what's the worst sign for you guys as Pirates fans that I saw that he did the other day, and I was like, yeah, he gonna be all gas, no brakes. He threw like I think 102 the other day to get somebody out, and as he's walking out, what does he do? He looks at the speed gun to see how hard he was throwing late in the game. And I'm like, yeah, he all gas, no brakes. It's gonna be fun to watch, but it's gonna break your heart when that Tommy Johns comes eventually.
Hey, just keep doing it. Keep doing it. We're just enjoying it. We're enjoying the show. We're enjoying the show. All right, JT, great episodes, and to the fans and listeners out there, thank you for always listening to us and putting up with us, especially JT's nonsense. Remember to please subscribe to us, JT and the Don All Sports Podcast. We can be found on all of the major platforms. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And also remember to please subscribe to the Give Us a Shot YouTube channel, which Give Us a Shot Network presents JT and the Don All Sports Podcast. And remember to follow us, JT and the Don, on social media. Our handle at JT and the Don. We can be found on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. So, JT, congrats to your Florida Panthers. Enjoy it, because you never know.
You don't really mean it, but I will enjoy it.
Because you never know. It only comes around once every 30 years. All right. But great episode, man. And until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.